Our crepe myrtles have turned black on the trunk and limbs. Is there any hope for them? They look terrible. Should we just cut them down or dig them up and replace with new ones? Also, if we do replace them in the same spot, how do we keep the new ones from getting the same thing? And this is Tommy from Holly Springs, Mississippi. Okay. So, Celeste, we'll start with you. Do we have an idea what that may be?
I have an inkling that it might be what we call crepe myrtle bark scale.
Could be.
So that actually is not a disease, it's an insect pest. And as it feeds on the plant, it secretes honeydew, and then that honeydew grows a black sooty mold. So that's the blackness that he's seeing on the leaves, on the trunk, on those lower portions of the plant. And you know, generally it's not life-threatening, especially to like mature crepe myrtles, but it certainly impacts their beauty. So if you are growing them because you love their form and you aren't as concerned, you know, about bloom, then maybe you wouldn't need to be quite as concerned about that. But, you know, aesthetically, they're going to have that blackness on the trunks. So if it were in my landscape, I would attempt to control the crepe myrtle bark scale so that you can get full potential in your bloom, and then you also don't have to battle that black sooty mold. And not only will it be on the base of the plant, it's going to be underneath anything that's underneath that crepe myrtle, your patio, a bench, you know, statuary, you name it. Other plants, you know, other shrubbery that are planted in the understory. So definitely I think that that would be the approach that I would take. I would not dig them up. I would not
cut them down.
And, you know, if they by chance have already done that and replanted, well, they're just gonna get them again. So I'm thinking treatment with like a systemic insecticide.
You know, and all of us are going to have to get better at this treatment because for West Tennessee, from you know South, you all have dealt with crepe myrtle bark scale for longer, but it has arrived in Knoxville, and
so it is there.
Oh yes, yeah, we are seeing just you know crepe myrtles that are just covered, and so you know this is a pest that has been moving north and east, and so you know it's not surprising that you have a question from from Mississippi, but we're beginning to see it in a much broader. You know, hung out in West Tennessee, then we had those exciting years where I was in Middle Tennessee, and now you know
they're on the move.
Yeah,
they're on the move, Mr. Tommy. And something else I'd like to mention as well. You know, I know we're talking about crepe myrtle bark scales, but do also know that aphids can secrete honeydew.
Good point.
Yeah, so check for crepe myrtle bark scale and also check for aphids.
Yes, definitely check for aphids. I do feel like it wouldn't be as excessive with aphid feeding as you would see the black sooty mold with crepe myrtle bark scale, but for sure check on that. And also I would like to note, just so that people are aware, that this is an exotic invasive pest, and so it's not leaving here. You can't, you know, you can't treat your crepe myrtle once and expect it to be cured of crepe myrtle bark scale. This is going to be a continuation of treatments for the life of the plant to really maintain it at its highest quality.
And that's the soil systemic drench that you were talking about, right? Thanks for watching. If you liked it, subscribe. We have hundreds of family plot videos for you to view.